Yeah, can we go into fasting a little bit? Because I know it's we live in a culture of there's just so much. There's so much to do,
Hmm.
there's so much information, there's so much to digest. I I feel like I've always done fasting. I'm pretty good at it, and it's something I've done for, I don't know, 15 years, where I've done a lot of intermittent fasting, a lot of 3-day fasts, lots of 24-hour fasts, mostly, usually weekly, at least one day. Um, but I always would try to get my fast in around my commitments through work or social commitments. And a lot of times I would feel the cumulative stress because I wasn't unplugging from my commitments, whether it was to a company or I'm putting out content, whatever it is. And so a lot of times I would feel extra depleted. Whereas if I've given myself permission to fast over the weekend, I don't have to take phone calls, I can do long walks in nature. I found that to be a completely different experience. I'd love your thoughts on that, your context of your fasting.
So I agree with that wholeheartedly. I know, like without a shadow of a doubt, that if you're going to be fasting, it becomes a spiritual thing as well. So when you're
Hmm.
connected more with your spiritual side, because you can on a fast, and um, when you're working and you have to be on your phone and you have to be connected to the outside world so much, like that draws so much energy. Like that is just sucking
Mm.
you dry like a vampire, taking your energy from you. It's not to say that it's the intentions of the outside world are always bad with our energy, but we give it
Hmm.
because we have to. It demands our energy. And when you're trying to fast, and fasting can be really rough sometimes. It's like a battle, and like it's sometimes a physical battle, sometimes it's a spiritual battle. And so when I'm fasting, because I don't really have to leave my farm very much, my homestead very much, it's very easy for me to just unplug. But just being on the cell phone is draining. So getting outside in nature, grounding. When I have had my most successful fasts, I've been out grounding, I've been meditating, I've been doing yoga, and I'm still exercising. I'm still doing my push-ups, my burpees. I'm still, at that point was doing all those things during my fast and feeling strong. No food in my body. We're on day 3, 72 hours. How do I have so much energy? Um, which is crazy, which is really cool. So the context of the fast, how I'm fasting, the water I'm drinking, like you, we need to be consuming living water. There's dead water, bulk water, and there's structured water, which is living water. You need to have minerals in your body. And when you're fasting, there's no sugar, there's no carbs, there's nothing that's going to break down into glucose. Like it needs to be water or teas. You can have, you know, non-sugar involved teas. You can have your black coffee, and the black coffee I found really helps with lowering the blood sugar, but sometimes, to a disadvantage, because it really, once your blood sugar starts to drop, the further you go into your fast, you start to get more drained. So I use my little Keto Mojo little thing I have and check my glucose, right? Because if I start to feel a little bit low, I'm like, all right, I'll check my glucose. And but when you're fasting, you get some soursop leaves in you. Oh man, your cells are absorbing the nutrients because they don't have anything. So they're just absorbing everything you're giving them. So you're at a prime time to get some herbal teas in you. You're at a prime time to get some of these herbal remedies in you that your cells are just going to take in, absorb, and start to heal and regenerate and improve your mitochondrial function. And guys, like I'll get into the mitochondrial stuff after I go over the second surgery and like the shift in my whole game plan. But fasting, you have such a good chance of healing the cells because they're not doing anything else but healing. So the regenerative aspects of the fast, and getting to further into the fast, and you know you don't have to push yourself to the brink of passing out on a fast, guys. Look, you're doing the best you can, and that's all we can do. So don't think that you have to hit that 3-day mark, because one day is good, 2 days is even better, and 3 days is your really good spot, because 3 days is when you start to regenerate your immune cells. Autophagy, I believe, is after 48 hours. So you're starting to do these things after your 48-hour mark that are huge for you. So when I fast, I like to start my fast in the evening. I start it in the evening, and that way I get a full night's sleep. The next day, full night's sleep, nothing in my belly. The next day, full night's sleep, and then I can wake up on that final day after 72 hours. I've already slept all night. So, not to mention how crazy your dreams get, when you don't have food in your belly for 3 days digesting, like really crazy dreams. But you you can get that extra day, the extra 12 hours, 8 hours in your fast. That does your body so much good at nighttime. I can't harp on this enough. When you have the ability to sleep on a fast with nothing in your belly, you are just increasing your cell health and the repair mechanisms that your cells have innately. It's in our DNA, man. We're such powerful beings, and it's just we've fallen from that. So those, I think, in the context of my fast, like if you look at the physical side of things, I've kind of hit on some of that. The spiritual side of things, get out in the sun, get connected to the earth, go grounding, go earthing, as they say, but get your feet barefoot in the soil, man. Go out there and hug a tree. I hug trees. I go on walks and I hug trees all the time. And like the feeling, the connection that I get, the grounding that I get from that. And people may think like this dude's insane, and that's okay. That's okay, because I've been called crazy my whole life. But I'm still here. I know I've had a brain tumor for over 2 years, and I'm still here smiling and sharing this with you. So that is how I like to fast. And I don't ever set like too high expectations. It's like, hey, do the best you can, and then I'm happy with that.
That's amazing. I want to recap before we go into your second surgery, because I just think it's valuable for this list, which is it's very, very similar. So we have fasting in the correct context. Context. We have supplementation that has been cultivated by research. We have testing. I love unique testing, diagnostic testing, genetic testing, methylation testing, really. So we're not guessing with our supplementation. You said glucose management. You said elite hydration. I really like the sidebar about the non-toxic drug alternatives. Low-dose naltrexone is something that I've definitely experimented with in my regime. For one of those examples, RSO oil. I'm going to just give a big shout out to your wife, because she's feels like she's on the podcast here with us. You give her such great praise as your support system, belief in something bigger than yourself, and then lots of time in nature. So that's quite a formula. And I would also just add to anybody hearing this, these aren't necessarily, in my experience, they're not extreme. A lot of these things we're honoring the body's pathways and processes that open themselves to robust health. So I think it's a really, really beautiful program, and I love that you guys came up. We're very, very similar. Same book, The Metabolic Approach to Cancer. That's the one I recommend all the time.
Yes.
Managing your ketone levels with Keto Mojo or a keto stick. These are things where they're very complementary, no matter what you'll do. So I think it's a really great empowerment piece, and it's great to have the choices around these. And just things like you said, it's equally frustrating to me that we have to go research these things ourselves. And I think it's good to meet reality, because these are not options that you're going to get in an emergency room situation or an emergency surgery with an oncologist. These are things that you will have to come up with on your own for most practitioners, unless you happen to have somebody who is in that world that believes in integration and complementary therapies. So bravo to you. Casey, can you take us in? Is there anything you want to add to that list, or is that pretty complete?
So there will be, after the next surgery, I'm going to include, so I had a, red light therapy and infrared sauna were something that I used after my first surgery. My wife and I, we spent our entire savings on, got a hyperbaric chamber in the house. We got a sauna in the house. We got the sauna with red light, so we went out and bought like the best of the best. OxyHealth has really good hyperbaric chambers. Sunlight and saunas have really good, Sunlight and Brand is a really good sauna. So I use that frequently. And then cold water exposure, that was something that I was doing after my first surgery as well, but not until later on in the year when it was cold, because Texas heat, good luck getting 32-degree water or 40-degree water in the Texas heat. I know, So, um,
I
so
know.
just adding those therapies, and then I'll go over, my new routine that has helped me even further after the second surgery. So, my wife, she was very fearful after the first surgery. She was so afraid to lose me. And fear has been healthy for me. The fear of death, I welcome death. I'm excited to see what's on the other side. Like, so excited sometimes it could be dangerous. And so, but still with so much left to do here, obviously, I'm right here with you. And this is, there's a reason why we're here. So, to
Mm-hmm.
to live with a wife who is so afraid that you're gonna just die, like, that's not a way to live for me. Like, so I started to lose my drive to be here. And, like, not to say that she was trying to be negative. She wasn't. She loved me. Any husband or spouse, wife that you have, they want you to be here, and they know you're up against all odds and your back's against the wall. But, like, that's where I thrive. Odds stacked against me is where I thrive. So, having to show my wife, I had to prove my wife that what she was wanting me to do was going to kill me. So I wasn't going to do radiation. I wasn't going to do chemo, but there was this thing called the Optune. And if you don't know what the Optune is, it's a device that blasts your brain. It's a wearable device that blasts your brain with 200,000 hertz. And that is not good for your brain. For anybody out there that knows, that's not good for your brain, okay? So I tried it for a week and a half to show her, baby, this is gonna kill me. But I will literally do this for you to show you just how much this is gonna hurt me. And a week
Mm-hmm.
and a half, 2 weeks later, had my blood work drawn, and Freddie, it was killing me. It was literally killing me. My white blood cell count was already low. It was down to a point 0.8. My lymphocytes, monocytes, everything was almost non-existent. My basophils, eosinophils, like, my parasite count was up. So, like, my body had no natural defense mechanism. Like, I was really struggling. Like, all these markers, my inflammation was insane. Like, my brain function, my everything mitochondrial was down. It was killing me, and I knew it. So I showed her, and this is the crazy thing. This is what you're willing to do sometimes, to show your loved ones, like, hey, you just need to trust me, right? So I went
Mm-hmm.
through that Optune device, and I quit using it, and it was killing me. There was no benefit to that thing. I did my scans, the tumor growth, like, I still had a tumor after the first scan post surgery. They didn't get it all, right? So they didn't get everything. It was a
Mm-hmm.
good resection, but they didn't get everything. So
Mm-hmm.
went through that experience with my wife in the Texas heat, running a homestead. By the way, I've been running a homestead this whole time. I just had brain surgery. Me and my wife, me and my wife went through some crazy stuff. That woman had a miscarriage right after a little bit after that surgery, and then the summer was crazy. Like, she was going through a miscarriage, and she was down there, didn't even have time to rest, dude. Running the farm,
Mm-hmm.
like, almost lost her in the bathtub during that miscarriage. Like, she almost died in my arms, dude. It was a really crazy experience. Like, this whole last couple years have been intense for us. And going through the Optune, I couldn't be outside because I was overheating. And this woman was out there every day running the farm, cows, pigs, goats, chickens. I mean, right after the miscarriage. And, like, dude, this is the strongest woman I've ever met, like, hands down. Like, and to make it through, it's emotional for me, man, because we just been through a lot. And to make it to where we're at now and moving into the next surgery, like, I had to find my drive to live again, because I started to lose it. I started to, like, now every day I'm just doing my treatments. Like, now every day I'm not even living life again. Like, I'm kind of, like, got this chain, and it's called glioblastoma diagnosis. And, like, there's more to life than just my diagnosis. But I was so enthralled with this diagnosis that I was forgetting to live, brother. I was forgetting to live. So I
Mm-hmm.
I got on a podcast one day, and it was this dude, Cody Alford, who's a fucking legend, a legendary Marine, man, a really, really good brother of mine, good friend of mine. Love his family, man. They've been a support network. His wife has helped me get on some good essential oil games, and he had this little group And I joined this group that he has called the Defy Tribe. And like, for me, like that was a huge step for me, dude. Like I never really did this kind of stuff, but I was in a desperate moment. So I jumped in that group for a little bit and made some incredible friends. And it gave me this like drive, like, okay, dude, you got your mojo back. You got your drive back. Now you're working out every day again. Now you got the body moving again. Now you're not feeling sorry for yourself. Now you're getting somewhere. And it was great. But the downside was I went from not using my cell phone at all to being on my phone again, to being on FaceTime again, to making new friends and being on FaceTime and talking to them again. And it was draining. And I just didn't know how draining it was until the tumor came back, until the growth started happening and the symptoms started coming back. Um, and I was doing the best I could, man, and like trying to balance everything out. But I just got sucked into this phone because I like information. I like to communicate. I love people, and I've been in my shell, like kind of in the cave for a long time. Man, I left the motorcycle world in a weird way, dude. Like it's a weird world. So I went into a cave for years, and then I finally broke out, but I didn't manage my phone time well. And knowing that my radiation exposure on the phone was the main cause of the tumor growth now after doing the Tempest testing. So here we go again. May 18th, I go in for a scan, started getting headaches again, the biggest like telltale sign is losing energy. I didn't have energy anymore. I was drained. I didn't have the energy to do things anymore. And running the farm was getting harder and harder on me, and making it through the winter. I made it through the winter, but that phone usage really just got a hold of me. Got a scan. Now the tumor's back. It's growing. It's a 2 centimeter diameter. It's definitely affecting me. And I go in for the surgery. I talk to the doctor, the surgeon. It's like, hey, bro, do what you got to do, right? Do what you got to do. But I'm not one to really care to ask questions. I let him just do his thing. I trust him. And then Dr. Harvey, shout out, amazing doctor, Fort Worth Methodist, incredible brain surgeon, great dude. And so he told me he's going to be a little more aggressive with this surgery because he wanted to get it all. He didn't want it to come back again. He didn't want it to grow again. He wanted to get it all. And so we did that. And one thing I didn't quite understand about the way my tumor cavity was, so I have this huge cavity and it's filled with cerebral spinal fluid. It's filled with it. It's no longer a closed system. That ventricle got clipped during the surgery. So that thing filled up with fluid after the first surgery. So now I've got this cavity full of cerebral spinal fluid. And any of my TBI guys out there that know like traumatic brain injury and stuff like that, if you lose cerebral spinal fluid, your body goes into this crazy survival mode. Like I wasn't prepared for that. I had that surgery. He was way more aggressive with it. And he went in there and he got the whole tumor. Like he went in there and he got everything, he rubbed around the cavity, made sure everything felt smooth, and he did everything right, exactly the way I needed him to do it. I woke up. I had my right eye I've lost a lot of eyesight now. I'm missing a really good portion of eyesight in different ways, like depth perception and complete blind spots. And I've got a little bit in certain areas. I got still full vision in my left eye, which is a blessing. I only need one. I don't even need my eyes, dude. I still got my breath, but I've got one good eye. And for me, I've got trained eyes, so that's cool. But woke up, got a loss of vision. But now I'm not experiencing the recovery from the last surgery the same way. And I had a really traumatic experience in the hospital, man. The nurse was treating me like a drug addict. I'm covered in tattoos. I'm a veteran. So she wouldn't give me intravenous drugs. She wouldn't give me pain relief intravenously. And I just had all my cerebral spinal fluid go flying out of my head when they opened up the cavity to get that tumor out. So now my body is trying to replenish my cerebral spinal fluid that I've just lost a lot of. So I'm throwing up uncontrollably. Something's not right. And I'm like yelling. I was like, something's not right. Something is not right. And like, dude, the nurse wouldn't listen. She treated me treated me very horribly, very condescending, had an attitude. And I'm very self-aware. So I'm trying to tell her, hey, this is not right. I need your help. I need you to give me some IV fentanyl, like stat, because if you don't, I'm not going to get ahead of this pain, and I'm going to keep throwing up. She was giving me hydrocodones to pop in my mouth. She was giving me oral anti-nausea stuff. I'm like, I'm throwing up. You're a freaking nurse. How do you not put two and two together? Why are you treating me like crap? Why are you looking at me like I'm a drug fiend? Like, dude, did you see any drugs in my system? What, RSO or something like that? Like, go talk to Dr. Harvey. Go get my surgeon on the phone. So it was to the point the pain was so unbearable. I was crying out for help, and I knew that I was going into shock. I was going into shock, and I've seen Marines on the battlefield. People on the battlefield die. They go into shock and they die, dude, because they can't breathe. They start to lose control of their breath. The heart gets crazy. Everything's going crazy, and they go into shock, and then they die. So I'm in the emergency. I'm like in the ICU, the brain ICU, and I know that I am not looking at a good odds right now. So I immediately surrendered to the pain and went into a deep meditative state and went outside of my body. I was in I created this black crystalline cocoon, and I sat up there for like 12 hours until my surgeon came in the room and gave me fentanyl and came back down. So my experience after this last brain surgery was so horrible. It was scary. It was the most pain I've ever felt in my life. I thought my head was going to explode. I thought the back of my head was going to explode. I'm throwing up. No one's listening to me. I'm in the worst moment of my life. My wife's at home, like she's 8 months pregnant. Dude, my wife's 8 months pregnant. I'm getting my second brain surgery. I can't have her in the hospital. I can't have another miscarriage. So I got my sister there, and no disrespect against her, but she's not my wife. She doesn't know me like my wife knows me. She can't comfort me like my wife can. So I've got nobody. I'm all alone. My wife finally knows that something's wrong. Like, cause Casey does, I don't deal with things this way. Something is wrong. My sister's like, Casey's crying. Like, Casey's freaking out. Like, I've never seen my brother act like this. Vicky called, I'm telling you, my wife, again, calls the surgeon and says, hey, dude, the nurse downstairs is really messing with Casey. You need to go down there. Okay, immediately authorized the fentanyl IV. And then I got through the pain, stopped throwing up, IV meds, and that was it. But that surgery was horrible, man. It was rough. So that was just that surgery. And then I refused to be in the hospital for more than 2 days. They were like, oh, it's Friday. You're going to have to wait the week. And I was like, are you refusing to let me out of the hospital? Are you holding me against my will? That's I know the verbiage, right? So I was like, get the physical therapist up here right now. I haven't been out of bed in 2 days. I stood right up, walked up and down the hallway. Get me home. Pass my test. Get me home. I'm fucking done here. Get me home. So they got me home, and I went through. I didn't know if I was going to make it or not at home for the next 2 weeks, man. The inflammation was so bad. I was throwing up. The pain was so bad, but I refused to go back to the hospital. I refused to go back and deal with that again. It was so traumatic. That experience in the hospital was so traumatic, Freddie, that I refused to go back. I was going to die in my bed. My wife was going to watch me die. My wife is 8.5 months pregnant, dude. And she's having to take care of her husband who's throwing up like uncontrollably again at my house. The pain is so severe. Nothing is helping. And she went through that for 2 weeks with me after that surgery. 2 straight weeks of not being able to help the person she loved and just crying with me. Like, man, it was intense, brother. It was intense.
Yeah.
So that was where that stopped, and then I'll go into how I changed my approach after that.
Yeah, it's incredible what the body can go through, Casey. I'm sitting here. I'm sure people are going to be listening to this in awe. It's incredible what the body can go through, and I think it also speaks to what's coming to me now is the importance to heal that experience, not just the surgery, but to heal the experience of being in the hospital, to heal the experience of having such again, another traumatic event that you've got to work through, and you do have to cut that cord. I mean, I say you, I mean everybody. Like, we've all got to do that, because we do need our emergency medicine. We do need our surgeons, and it's a dangerous edge to be on, to be in a place of such distrust, and such a deep wounding that we don't feel like we can go and get safe care. So I know you'd mentioned you're going to be doing some medicine work down here in Austin, and I'm excited you're going to be doing that because it's a lot to carry.
Yeah, and so that is a very good point. And I want to add to that. Like, I am not against Western medicine. I'm not against, because I chose the path less traveled because I knew what was best for me. It doesn't mean that that's the best path. Everyone battles differently. And I want to say that. It's so important that you follow
Mm-hmm.
your gut and your intuition, and make sure you stand in your power when you make your decisions. Don't let the doctor or the surgeons, the oncologists, these people take that power away from you because of fear. And research is everything, but having that emergency medicine, having those surgeons, having that, that is so vital to our survival here. We have that for a reason. And look at the lifespan. Our lifespans have increased so much because we have access to
Mm-hmm.
that. But we can't just rely on that as our healing mechanism, because that's not the healing mechanism. This is emergency medicine. Go to the root cause. Let's figure out how to heal instead of treating the symptoms. So that's very important. I just want to elaborate on that a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
and if you're ready, I can move into this next phase of how I started to address the next, since May 18th, man. Here we are again. They tell you 3 months. Hey, they tell you this and that. You're gonna have a recurrence. Here I am. It's about to be December, February. I have a next scan in February, and January would be my 2 year mark. And I've had brain cancer for more than 2 years, guys. Like, that tumor they pulled out wasn't just overnight. That had been in months, years prior before my actual diagnosis. So here we are. I'm still defying
Yeah.
all odds. May 18th, we got to start changing some things up. I got out of my little group, my tribe, because I knew that the being on the cell phone all the time was going to be a big deal, and I needed to just lessen that load a little bit. And I knew that I had an Instagram for a reason. I was off the interweb, no socials for a long time, but I needed to have one because my story. We all have very important stories to be told. Don't think that because you don't have a brain cancer diagnosis that your story is not important. That's not the truth. We all are very important, and so remember that. So knowing that Instagram was going to have to be a part of my life, I need to start balancing that out. I need to start sharing my story more. And I've been doing that. And I've been waiting to do it, kind of just like getting a feel for it. And over the last few months, um, I started a fundraiser because I knew I needed a cold plunge, not just in the wintertime, but I need a cold plunge in the Texas heat. And I need the best cold plunge. So Blue Cube, shout out, guys. Best cold plunge that I can find on the market. I raised money through GoFundMe. Everyone that has pitched in money to my GoFundMe to raise the money for the cold plunge, I was able to order that before my last surgery. Now, the support that I have from starting an Instagram, being visible to the world, would not be possible to gain the support that I had. 107 Foundation, an incredible organization. Guys, if you're a veteran and you have a cancer diagnosis or you have the ability to help, the 107 organization goes out there and they will get testing to guys, early testing, so you don't have to wait till you have to do an emergency resection like me. Like, they get your testing done. They help you with support if you're on your cancer battle like me. Those guys raised over $40,000 for me, and they helped me buy
Mm.
my polydynamic, photodynamic device, this red light machine that I use, and it does UV, all these different UV, different light spectrums, and I use that photodynamic therapy with my IV work, because now in conjunction going to my new therapies, they raise the money for me. I'm not doing standard of care, and I'm not going to do standard of care. It's just not going to happen for me because I have found another way for me that works for me. I had this incredible doctor, and he knows who he is. I love that man with all my heart. He's a legend. And he made things possible for me. He came to my home and visited me, and he showed me things. He showed me treatments that they weren't really offering here in integrative clinics yet. And they're starting, the reason why I'm sharing this now is because now they're offering them more in these IV clinics, more in these centers, these healing centers. And, like this is a treatment option now. There's pharmaceutical companies selling methylene blue for IV use. And it's not just IV use, you can use it orally, so sublingual drops, and do a methylene blue IV treatment. And this is huge. This photodynamics, red light therapy, methylene blue IV, mitochondrial function, that is your ticket to mitochondrial function improvement. The methylene blue is an electron donor. So I want to just elaborate on that a little bit. It has the
Mm-hmm.
ability to carry photons through the blood. You run it through the red light, it carries the photons through the blood into the cells. And the methylene blue, as an electron donor, methylene blue itself can get through the blood-brain barrier very easily, which for us brain cancer dudes, brain guys, whoever has neurological dysfunction, or you need a cell that is just mutating and growing rapidly and you need to send it to apoptosis, methylene blue can do that. Methylene blue, there's a chain of events that has to happen. And a lot of the times you have to have them all working in sequence like an assembly line. If you don't, they start to bottleneck. Well, methylene blue doesn't have to start at the beginning of the line. It can go to the end of the line and fix where it's having an issue that creates the bottleneck. And then it comes back and fixes your little assembly line. And then it goes through and it can get your cell what it needs, where it needs it. And that's so important to understand, that methylene blue has been around for over 100 years. Over that, it's been used. It's in every emergency room around the world. Okay, it's used for so many things. If you get bit by a rattlesnake, go find yourself some methylene blue like that, right? If you have some dysfunction in your cells, get that methylene blue in your cells. If you have Alzheimer's, neurodysfunction, degenerative stuff, methylene blue can help. It gives the mitochondrial the energy it needs, the cell the energy it needs to boost its energy efficiency, its function. And now you've got people with these brain things going on in different directions, cells that are growing rapidly that need apoptosis, cells that aren't performing enough, and that methylene blue can get in there. Now you use the hyperbaric chamber, and now you're oxygenating the blood even more. And we know that cancer cells thrive in an acidic environment. So now you can create an oxygenated environment, which will slow and stop the growth of a cancer cell in its tracks and reverse things. And you can start to fathom, just like, whoa, dude, that's a trifecta. That's all synergy. And in very rare cases, people could be allergic to methylene blue. Very rare. It's got a very low toxic profile, and it's been used for a long time, and it's becoming more mainstream. A company, Troscriptions. If you guys need some nootropics and you want to use some methylene blue, shout out to Troscriptions, because they offer you all the research. They offer the great products, very clean products, third-party testing, all the things for impurities, and they can offer you just over-the-counter help. It's not easy to go find the purest methylene blue that you want to put in your vein. So go find something that, not everybody's going to be doing IV methylene blue, guys. Not everybody, but it has the potential to help a lot of people. So now, this is my protocols now, okay? I'm doing
Love it.
cold plunge. I'm doing my sauna work. I'm doing my cold plunge work. I'm doing my hyperbaric work. I'm doing my IV methylene blue, and I'm putting my own IVs in my veins, guys. Whatever it takes. You have to realize, I have found out what love is. I've truly found out what love is, and I will fight every day for the rest of my life and give it my all, just to remain here for the ones I love and to be able to give love. And that, to me, that's all I need. When I'm like, oh man, that water is cold today, I'm like, dude, a little cold water is not going to stop me from ensuring my survivability. A little heat is not going to get in my way of putting the IV in my vein. I watched the Navy cats do that and mess it up over and over again. I can do a better job than that on my first try. Do some research. Hey, don't put it in a vein that has a pulse. That's an artery. Like, do your research. And I'm not recommending this at home, guys. This is a very extreme situation here, right? I've got a baby girl, and she's my world, and I don't care. I'll do whatever it takes. If I have to shove a port in, if I have to get a port put in, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that my survival is ensured. So the supplements that I take, soursop. I get on my soursop extracts. Very, very good for you. With cancer cell health and stuff. I mean, cell health. And if you look at like chemotherapy and you look at soursop, do a little research. I'll just tell you, PubMed has some great articles. A lot of the questions I get asked, I do all my research through PubMed articles, guys. I do research on just the supplements alone. Black cumin seed oil. Black cumin seed oil, incredible. Go do your research on that. Like I said, melatonin is big. I use PEMF stuff. So like I use electromagnetic fields. I'm a sound healer. That's what I study. That's what I do. So studying frequencies and energy, and I got singing bowls in my house every day. I mess with my singing bowls, my tuning forks. I've got instruments that I play with that produce frequencies that are healing for the body. And if you do any type of research on that, go look up Rife, Royal Rife, look up the Rife frequencies and go down the rabbit hole on that, because that's real. That's been proven. And just gonna leave it at that. Frequencies. We are electromagnetic beings, and we are always being bombarded by electromagnetic fields, and they're not always healthy. So to know how to balance that out, get grounded. If you go outside and get grounded every day, big part of making sure that you're keeping your field strong. And the mindfulness practices that I do. We were talking about Freddie, man. I'm out there, skin to the sun, man, and I'm doing all the things, man, like sexual kung fu. I'm doing all these things to get my chi moving around. I'm doing all the things possible on that side to get my energy up, because once you start to realize keeping your energy up is a big part of your health game. So I'll let meditation, breath work is huge. Holding gratitude in your heart, opening that heart up, getting that heart resonating, that field strong, and reaching out. You can get what you want in this world, and I'll let y'all go study that if you're into it. Not to go too woo woo on anybody, but I'm out there, guys. I'm the weirdo in the woods that dances around the full moon. I'm howling at the moon, howling at sunrise. I'm doing my war chants. I'm getting all that out every day, because I get done with all that and I'm just like zenned out, just at a place of peace. And then I go forth with my day. So that's what I've been doing, and it's been working. And I had a cancer-free scan. Like my last scan was cancer-free. I can't remember what month. I think August. And I've been doing really good. One thing that I really need to do. My wife is awesome. She's gonna take over my social media. Like I'll be doing my own content, but she's gonna help with the posting. And my long-term survival depends on getting off that phone and using it as a tool and not as a crutch. And I get sucked into that cell phone. And guys, go get yourself a Safe Living or another brand of EMF monitor. I brought one with me just to show you. Like this is what I use. And I put this thing up to my phone, and the readings are insane. Okay, guys? And you can go and get one of these monitors and you can see for yourself. I don't have to convince you. Go do it yourself. And I can literally feel, because I have fluid all back there, my brain starts to pulsate. I get on that phone, it's like, doof, doof. So I know that I need to change how I'm doing that. My long-term survival depends on it. And I've got books to write. I've got people to talk to. I got a story to share. And like this, finding the balance. Everything in life is a balance. So I supplement to try to keep my cell health up. But why do I keep doing all these treatments and then having to just redo what I've been damaging all week from my cell phone? So I'm now coming into a place where I know that this is what I need to do. I know that I have this journey work coming up, and that suppressed trauma takes form in physical ailments and dis-ease. So if you go and study how trauma from the past, abuse, or whatever you've been through, if you don't deal with that, that just gets choked down and choked down and choked down, and that energy needs a place to go. So it will take form, it will manifest in dis-ease and sickness. And so I've been through the ringer, guys, like my whole life, and like I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm a very, very strong individual because of all that, and it's a blessing. I don't feel like a cancer diagnosis wasn't a blessing for me, because it was my jump off point to start to potentiate myself to the highest level of my being, and it continuously allows me to grow. Like, this is a blessing, guys. And not everyone sees it that way. You can see things in life as a chance to grow or for you to be the victim. And I choose to be the victor. Every chance that I get, I look at a situation as, how can I learn from this experience? How can I make myself better? It gives me a chance. And that's on a daily basis. So doing the plant medicine work in Austin at a really good friend of mine's place down there. They've been doing this for a while. They've been working with the shamans, and I'm going to go down there for a week and I'm going to lose myself, and I'm going to go down there to die and reinvent myself and come back a new man and release all this trauma. Come back. You can say reincarnate, you can say whatever you want, but I'm going down there to shed this trauma, to let this out and to purge and purify my body, because where I'm going, I have to do this. My mission here is
Yeah.
much bigger than for myself. So knowing where I'm at,
Yeah.
this is where I'm going. I've got books to write. I've got things to do. I've got so much information to give out there and so much love to give. And I need to be there for the world. And I know that the balance is here, and I'm right there to do it. So this is where we're at, right here, talking to you right now, starting to share my story, starting to share the things I've done that's successful, with a good head on my shoulders and nothing but love and gratitude in my heart.
Casey, it's beautiful. I just want to repeat and mirror and reflect just what an incredible life, what an incredible experience, and how important it is for you to not only to be doing the trauma work, but to be doing the time it takes to properly integrate after those experiences. And the what you've been through is I think anyone would be hard pressed to find someone who had lived through walk the valley of death in such severity as your story. So I'm here for it. I would love to I'd love to check in the future. I'd love to check in the future. I'd love to see how the plant medicine's going. I also want to I love the clarity you have around needing to separate yourself from the digital world and the phone, and how it can be a crutch, how it can be great. It's great that it's connected you. You said the Hunter 7 Foundation?
Absolutely. Yep.
Hunter 7 Foundation and people like Blue Cube and these great fundraisers and ways to support you on your journey. And at the same time, it is that edge of like opportunity and dysfunction. And I as a content creator, listen, I struggle with it all the time. It's real. So I applaud you in doing that. I want to celebrate you and your story. It's absolutely yeah, I just can't wait. I can't wait to hear the feedback for everybody. And this, you're a great example of somebody that's taken radical ownership of your health, and you're doing everything you can to be able to show up in love. And I don't think there's a better way to close it than that. I really don't. I think that's where we leave this one. And I would like to ask you a couple final questions as we close the podcast. You get a magic wand. You can tune everybody into the same TV on planet Earth. If you just had 30 seconds, what would you say to the planet right now in our current state of being?
We are in a state designed to, I wouldn't say designed because that might sound too conspiracy, but we are in a world where it is hard to get the things that we need to stay healthy. We have so many distractions out there. We have so many things that are working against us. So, for one, stand in your power. Know that we are limitless, powerful beings and that we can accomplish anything. Nothing is out of the realms of possibility. If you can think it in your mind, you can create it in the physical. And I want you all to believe in that wholeheartedly. And if you have a trouble doing that, that's fine. Take it like this. Try to move with love. Before you are quick to look down on somebody and their situation, think about what that person could be going through. Give yourself some grace. We live in a hard times right now, guys. It's not easy to be able to remain up here in your happiness and your divine state because the world's working against us. But do your best. And no one's expecting you to be perfect. If you make a mistake, that's a part of life, and you learn from that. Don't get too hard on yourself because we're going to continue to do that. And that's all we can do. Just show up. Just show up for yourself. That's the biggest thing.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And the last thing I just want you to, if we think about this term beautifully broken, that has to resonate with you in some point. What does it mean to you, Casey West, to be beautifully broken?
Let me tell you, the opportunity to just share this, life brings its interesting circumstances, and we are all broken in some way, and not that we can't function, not that we can't be successful, but we have been broken at some point by life, and to allow the love and the positivity to flow and to show up still and not allow the circumstances we've been in to ruin us, to still show up with love. And we all have our battle scars, but they're beautiful. It's a part of our story. That's who we are. And don't run from that. What you've experienced is unique, and you're meant to go through that. And your story is important. So when you say beautifully broken, we all have this beautiful, brokenness to our journey, and that's just a part of who we are. So just remember, like, we are beautifully broken, and it's a gift. It's not a curse, guys.
Awesome. And Casey, where can people follow your Instagram account?
All right, so transmute that energy is my Instagram account, and it's transmute that INNERG for energy, as in inner G. So if you're looking for me, I'll be there. I'm sharing my story and how I can help. So thank you very much.
Amazing. Casey, thank you for being a guest on the Beautifully Broken podcast. It was my pleasure and just incredible. And I celebrate your 2 years. That's amazing. Proud of you.
Thank you, brother.